Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ripple touts XRP use in new crypto framework suggested for India. Now, this is written up ultimately as a result of this Ripple Insights blog piece titled Policy Framework for Digital Assets in India, which itself links to a broader document that Ripple put out titled the Path Forward for Digital Assets Adoption in India. This is funny because it's just such serendipitous timing here. I happen to have just talked about this, I think, literally yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. So anyway, before we go any further here, if you would please delicately tap that like button, know that I would very genuinely appreciate it. It's something that you could do to help the channel if you're happy with the content that's generally put out here, and don't cost you nothing. And also, consider subscribing to the Moon Lambo channel because, my friend, I'll tell you what, until you do subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel, you know it, I know it, your life will never truly be complete. Shout out to XRP Crypto Wolf for bringing this piece to my attention. I very much appreciate that, good sir. And again, this one's titled Policy Framework for Digital Assets in India. So what was I talking about yesterday before even diving in, just to make sure we got the table properly set? Well, it's also covered in this. I actually read 3 articles on this before covering this content here in this video. So here's a piece from You Today titled Ripple Suggests India Use XRP in Digital Asset Adoption Recommendations, which reminded me of this piece I put out, or I covered from them just the other day. Ripple's partner TransferGo gets extra $10 million investment, expands to 11 new countries. And there's a part in here where they were talking about the corridor. Here, let me just search for it. India, where's the other one? Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay. TransferGo emerged on the remittance market 8 years ago, operating mainly for third world citizens who worked in Europe and sent cash home to their relatives. The biggest number of clients were from India working in the UK. And so I went on to make the point that this could be a gigantic corridor for Ripple with the utilization of XRP as a bridge currency, because money flowing into India from all sorts of different origin points. It would be like there are all sorts of corridors that connect to India that would make this absolutely massive. Now, until recently, within the last few months, it looked like that was pretty much going to be a no-go indefinitely until India's highest court basically declared that cryptocurrencies super duper. 2 thumbs up. Because it was effectively banned from use for the entire country. But there was a ruling that came down indicating that no cryptocurrency, it's actually okay, which kind of opened the floodgates from that point, from my perspective. Even if not literally that day in terms of technological adoption, it got things in motion from that point moving on. Because you can understand, of course, if you're a cryptocurrency exchange and now you got the green light there, what do you think's ultimately going to happen here? And so I think that's my fun prediction, not putting a timestamp on it, but I certainly suspect that this is going to be a big corridor for on-demand liquidity utilizing XRP as a bridge currency. And I think that Ripple agrees. Let's go ahead and take a look at just part of their Ripple Insights piece from today, titled Policy Framework for Digital Assets in India. India is at an inflection point in fintech innovation. The country's government and policymakers have the opportunity to foster responsible adoption of new digital asset and blockchain technology by creating transparent principles-based regulatory frameworks that support it. In 2019, the United States was at a similar inflection point. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and Executive Chairman Chris Larsen penned an open letter to the United States Congress urging legislators to support fintech regulation that fosters responsible innovation and protects consumers. By the way, that letter, they actually had it printed, I can't remember the publication one, but it was a major newspaper. And even if it's the case that most people read it online, it was still fascinating because that in and of itself got it more coverage because they paid to print it in an actual newspaper here. But since the letter was issued, various U.S. legislators, policymakers, and regulators have taken steps to further address the benefits of blockchain technology, whether it be by rulemaking, guidance, or statements of key officials. In a recent example, the U.S. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced a final rule that would revise the Electronic Fund Transfer Act as it relates to remittance transfer providers. Now, let me jump down a little bit further, and they do cite their piece, so this is where some of these thoughts came from, which again, it was titled The Path Forward for Digital Assets Adoption in India, which is a pretty long document. But let me jump down here because they got the bullet points are what I want to cover here. So Ripple's policy paper offers an overview of the global digital assets landscape and proposed measures policymakers may implement over the short and medium term to enact a comprehensive digital asset policy in India, including, number one, there are 4 bullet points. Here's the first one. Adopt a digital asset taxonomy consistent with global practice, providing clarity to the legal character of digital assets. Number 2, enact a facilitate legal framework for digital asset service providers at the Gujarat International Finance Tech City, which is GIFT, G-I-F-T, in the short term to attract mature global participants to GIFT for developing enterprise use cases of digital assets. Number 3, modify RBI's regulatory sandbox framework to remove cryptocurrency and crypto asset services from the negative list, thereby offering service providers an opportunity to test the value proposition of this new technology in the Indian context. And number 4, implement a conducive regulatory framework for digital assets by amending specific financial sector laws. For example, empower the Securities and Exchange Board of India to license, regulate, and supervise digital asset service providers. Now, how do you think that Ripple knows to suggest all these things? Could it be that they've been, it's because they've been dealing with this with governments around the world for the better part of a freaking decade? Yeah, I think that's probably it. They've got all sorts of sage wisdom that it would probably be wise to at least listen to, and then India, those regulating there, can certainly make their own decisions, but make sure that you're informed with as many perspectives as possible, especially when you're talking about people that are leaders in the crypto and blockchain space, because that Ripple is that. Now, this piece, the way that Cointelegraph covered it, check this out. Again, this one's titled Ripple Touts XRP Use in New Crypto Framework Suggested for India. American fintech firm Ripple has proposed a policy framework for regulating crypto in India amid local crypto uncertainty. In an effort to persuade Indian authorities to support fintech regulation and the growing crypto industry, Ripple issued a policy paper addressed to local legislators. Released on June 18th, Ripple's policy paper provides a number of recommendations for Indian policymakers, offering an overview of the global digital assets landscape and measures to adopt a new digital currency policy in the country. And this does have to do with XRP, so check this out. The path forward for digital assets adoption in India, the 36-page long document, promotes XRP and calls on India to provide regulatory clarity for cryptocurrencies, and I just cited some of the specifics. Now, in the policy paper, Ripple specifically outlines XRP's potential to become a key solution for cross-border payments in India, which is considered to be the dominant use case for cross-border payments and remittances. This is why I gotta pat myself on the back a little bit, just kind of brush the dirt off my shoulder. Do people still say that? Do they do that? I'm brushing it off right now. I don't know if you can hear that though. This is why I cited just yesterday. That's why this timing of this is just fantastic. I was like, yep, I'm sure that ultimately I just couldn't be more confident that ultimately level heads will prevail. This corridor is going to open up, and XRP is going to be a big piece of this. Ripple sees that, and they see the potential as well, and they're pushing for the government in India to make wise decisions here. Now, highlighting that existing methods of cross-border transactions can take 4 or 8 days. Ripple states that it can handle a transaction from Uzbek Bank to its Indian counterpart at near real time, adding, quote, and I like this because it's a XRP quote, "This route minimizes costs, time, and risks that the prevalent models of cross-border banking retain. As a corollary, many friction points like minimum account balances and different time zones, as also operational and settlement risks, are avoided in cross-border payments using XRP. Specifically using XRP, you cannot do it without XRP." At one point, it's just going to be weird. But imagine telling your your grandkids about how in the past you could only move money around the planet Monday through Friday during the business hours of 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. or whatever they are, whatever they end up being. It's just completely absurd. It's the same thing for trading stocks today. I don't think that's going to stand forever. Do you? I don't know of a reason that it would. Because look at the crypto asset class. It's open 24/7, 365, my friends. It's just a better way to do things here. Pretty cool stuff indeed. And in a comparative analysis of XRP's characteristics and performance metrics to those of other notable digital assets like Bitcoin and Ether, Ripple outlined the major benefits of XRP. Of course, they're citing here, you can see it on your screen, speed, cost, and scalability. And then at the bottom, the only other piece I wanted to mention here is that they did this narrative. I cited this just the other day too. Cointelegraph does this from time to time. You see it on Bitcoinist.com all the time and NewsBTC all the time, where there's this good news about XRP. It's positive developments are being made, but then they want to cite something unrelated that's negative for Ripple and or XRP. And so you have this. Ripple approaching the Indian market as XRP is beat out by Tether. It's beat out. Did you hear this? It's beat out. So how did they cover this and why? Ripple's proposal for crypto regulation in India comes soon after XRP lost its long-running position of the third largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization. As reported on May 25th, major stablecoin Tether, USDT, outstripped XRP to become the third largest crypto by market cap. And then they go on to cite the market cap at the time. So there's no reason for that to be in this piece. It's unrelated to anything else. It doesn't help tie the story together or provide additional understanding of what's going on. It's nothing, no additional context whatsoever. So you can only assume, if they're doing this, that it's because they want to drive home a point. They want to, put a chink in XRP's armor, as it were. And it doesn't make any damn sense, because what actually happened here in XRP losing, here how they word it, getting beat out by Tether? What actually happened? Well, you know what market cap is, right? It's the current amount of whatever the cryptocurrency in question is. For this asset class, it would be a cryptocurrency anyway. For stocks, it would be a shares. But so for this asset class, it's the market cap is how many cryptocurrency units are there times the current market rate. So what's happened here? Well, in the case of Tether, it's always worth $1. That doesn't fluctuate. So they don't have to worry about bull or bear markets. It's just $1. So what's the only way that it could really gain market share outside of other assets going up or going down on their own? Well, the only way that that's going to happen is that they print a ton more coins. And so I covered this just the other day, but for those of you that don't know, Tether, within the last several months, they went from having in total in circulation 4 billion Tether coins, roughly. It was around 4 billion to about 9 billion. So they more than doubled it. And so with that many more coins, you take that new high number times the $1, and it went from a $4 billion market cap to about 9 billion. Well, I think it's a little bit over 9 billion at this point. That's ridiculous. So it got beat out because Tether printed something out of thin air, which is not backed by anything, which I think is a train wreck coming in a matter of time. We'll see. That to me is scary in and of itself. But that's how Tether beats out XRP. It's a bunch of freaking crap, and it doesn't have a place in this article. And having this, even if you want to make an article about it, framing it like it's beat out by Tether is stupid and nonsensical. Knock it off, Cointelegraph. You're being a little baby back bitch. That's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!